We've talked about Zach LaVine being moved almost all season from the Chicago Bulls. We've covered multiple teams, but no team more than the Los Angeles Lakers. Right now, there's reports out there suggesting this trade seems imminent for him to be moved to the Lakers. I'm your host, Joey Mercer. This is another episode of Bulls Digest. And before we get into it there today, I just want to say that about 88% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, make sure to go down below, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and you will no longer have to search for this content and be able to stay up to date with the team that we all know and love here at Bulls Digest, being the Chicago Bulls. I hope everybody's having a Merry Christmas there today, and I also hope that Santa was good to you and you're watching all the NBA games on, as the Bulls don't play until tomorrow on Boxing Day. Without further ado though, let's get into the topic at task today, which is LaVine will be a Laker. So this report actually came out from Darnell Mayberry at The Athletic and was cited in an article I saw on Sports Illustrated covered by a member of their team, Stephen Belsick, I believe. Now we're going to get into the title of that one right away. The title of this article was, Chicago Bulls Insider says all signs are pointing to LaVine, eventually ending up with the Los Angeles Lakers. A deal for LaVine is imminent, says a Bulls insider. So let's see exactly what had to be said by starting off into this article. It says the Chicago Bulls are enjoying the recent string of success. With 7 wins in their last 10 games and more than half the season still to go, the Bulls' resurgence has them firmly in the hunt for a spot in the NBA playoffs. And they really do look like a guaranteed play-in team without LaVine in the lineup, or a fringe playoff team, which is not what you want to see with a former 2-time All-Star out of the lineup. However, it is important to mention they did lose the last game to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're now 7-4 in their last 11, which is still a very good record, which would suit them as a playoff team in the Eastern Conference right now, and would just have them towards the end of it, as the Eastern Conference is better than the West this year, the Wild West, of course, but nonetheless, the team has been playing so good without him, it seems like a trade needs to happen sooner rather than later. Next thing I saw in the article was, however, the elephant in the room is the status of All-Star guard Zach LaVine. Ever since a report came out stating the Bulls' front office's increased openness to parting with the high-scoring wingman, the rumor mill has been swirling that LaVine could be traded before the deadline. An insider source is adding fuel to those flames as they state all signs are pointing to a possible move sending LaVine to the Los Angeles Lakers. So interesting enough there that we now have some more intel, more than just rumors going around, and from people that are insiders within the organizations, knowing that a trade seems to be imminent, seems to be it's going to happen, whatever way you want to put it, it seems like Zach LaVine is going to be in a Los Angeles Lakers uniform. The next thing we saw was, according to the Athletic's Darnell Mayberry, a deal for LaVine between Chicago and Los Angeles may be imminent. The only hurdle is finding common ground on the assets that Bulls would receive in return for LaVine. All sides are pointing to these teams eventually finding common ground on a deal that works for both sides. The fit as trade partners was apparent before, but as the season has progressed, it seems imperative that they come together on a trade, Mayberry shared. So interesting enough to see there that we do have some inside access from Darnell Mayberry from The Athletic coming out and talking about these teams. It's not something that's been talked about too in-depth besides just the rumor mill, and now we have something even more so growing as opposed to just trade machine trades happening, which we've obviously covered and discussed here, as it seems like it's very possible for him to move to the Los Angeles Lakers, and now it's being shared that's imminent, which is absolutely crazy in my opinion. But if they have the right pieces and we can come to the assets, this deal can definitely work. It's not something that we should give up on, or the Bulls organization should give up on, would be better for me to say. But the next thing I did see in the article was, the Bulls have been bombarded by calls inquiring about veterans DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso too. Still, the team's focus remains moving LaVine, who is currently sidelined with a right foot inflammation, to another squad. LaVine will be their first choice to move. He has a massive contract that will be impossible for him to live up to as long as the Bulls are losing. And with LaVine, the Bulls have been stuck in the mud for the better part of 7 seasons, Mayberry shared. Now, I always want to back up Zach in that sense, as they haven't really put a decent team around Zach until just 3 seasons ago, or 2 seasons, however you look at it. The first season we had Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan Before that, we did not really have a team that was put in any place to win. This team looked like a team that was going to tank and did not have anybody good on the roster in order for us to make a really good playoff push. That team was very below par average and just was abysmal overall when you look at the starting lineups that we had to put in place. And LaVine definitely missed some significant time at the start after he was moved along with Larry Markkinen as a draft pick for Jimmy Butler. He was not set up for success in Chicago, and we can't really count the first few years that he was there at all, and that definitely should not be put on Zach's shoulders. The next thing that we saw was Jovan Buha, the Athletics Lakers beat writer, shared that Los Angeles may consider sending a package highlighted by point guard D'Angelo Russell and perhaps Rui Hachimura, but that may be the best that they'd offer. Is that enough for Zach LaVine would be the biggest question to be asked, and in my opinion, no. I think that the Bulls could get better elsewhere, but I also think if this is the only offer that you could find, and maybe I'm wrong on the value there in that sense with the contract, the injuries, and the lack of defense, but I still value him higher than that. But if this is all you can get, it seems like they need to get Zach LaVine out there sooner rather than later. He can't continue to just be a cheerleader and that be his best asset, getting paid over $40 million a season. He needs to definitely be more of an encore presence, help on both ends of the floor, like he's definitely capable of doing. He just doesn't put the effort in on the defensive end, and then he would definitely live up to that $40 million, and we could start winning some games with him in the lineup instead of getting like 1 or 2 wins over a long span of time, and then him walking off the floor after a game, shoving a reporter out of the way, and not wanting to talk to anybody. It simply isn't professional. The way he's handled things since he's been injured has been better, but that's because he's not playing. When he was playing, things were not as professional as they could have been, and that's something that really made me look down upon Zach LaVine's game, as opposed to looking up to it. Now, the next thing that we covered or saw in this article was, for LaVine specifically, I think the Lakers would consider a D'Angelo Russell-centric deal, but I don't think they'd throw in much more than a combination of salary filler, Rui Hachimura and or Gabe Vincent, a young prospect Max Christie, or Jalen Hood-Schifino, and a protected pick, 2029 or 2030 first rounder. The Lakers would fight to keep Hachimura and Christie, to be clear, but I see that offer on the high end of what they'd be willing to give up, Buha explained. So we actually covered that here on Bulls Digest with that trade, and I gave my take on it. If you want to check over that video, it was 2 videos ago from this. You should see it there with the thumbnail being Zach LaVine in Lakers jersey, D'Angelo Russell and the Bulls, as that is obviously what we covered in that video, and we just went over, so no spoilers there. You can see it on the thumbnail of the video, but definitely check that out so you can see exactly my thoughts on that. But it really doesn't seem like quite enough value for Zach, all depending on the injury status. It depends on how he's going to perform. It depends on the contract, what teams are waiting and looking at him there. I don't know what offers are on the table, so it's very difficult for me to put a value on Zach LaVine right now because we don't have as much intel on what other teams are willing to offer, just what the Lakers are willing to offer for him. We haven't heard many trades throughout the season, only in the offseason, of course, with the Knicks and different teams like that, rumblings, but nothing really happened there as we turned some down. And now it seems like the only trade that we know of pieces that could definitely be included are the Lakers, without just mock trades being created out of thin air almostly with other teams. This has been your host, Joey Mercer. I hope you enjoyed the episode there today, and I hope something happens soon with this whole Zach LaVine trade business. There's been a whole lot of rumblings with that. It seems like a deal needs to be made sooner rather than later. January 15th seems the latest with the whole signing of the offseason players, contract exceptions, things like that. And hopefully a deal can be made there, as that's only just a few weeks before the trade deadline on February 8th. So not a lot of time there for sure. But this has been another episode of Bulls Digest. Make sure to go down below, like and comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and you'll be staying up to date with the Chicago Bulls. This has been your host, Joey Mercer. I'll see you all in the next one.